how did you guys come to that decision as a couple to start off with?
Yeah, I'll say it was not an easy one. You can share your side, babe.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of just at first it was kind of I wasn't sure about doing it because you want everyone, all the people that you've invited, you want them to go there regardless if they agree or not. But at the same time, it comes down to safety, and I had to figure out. Me, I used to work as a facility manager, and that's literally the number one thing. It's always like everything else goes out the window when safety protocols are not being met. So that was kind of how I came up with it, was that I don't want anyone get hurt or end up getting sick at the wedding. So that's pretty much how I came up with the decision when it was brought to my attention.
And Stephanie, I know you're in healthcare, and those of you guys in healthcare have just lived in a different world than the rest of us. I mean, you kind of compare it to being in the media with like the whirlwind, but we're only saying what you guys are doing. So I feel like that might play into that a little bit as well. So did you being in healthcare have to do with choosing to require the vaccinations at your wedding?
Absolutely. I've been fully vaccinated since December, or end of December, early January. I will say too, one thing that watching all of the things we different have, one of the things we know about ourselves and our racial demographic is that a lot of Black individuals have been affected by COVID more so than any other racial demographic. And we also know that we're also the least vaccinated group right now, statistically. And so that really scared me as a member of the Black community, our guests, our family, and things like that. What we didn't want is for people to come and be unsafe or feel unsafe. And so we would hope that having our wedding, having this be a mandatory requirement, that people would realize the seriousness of this as well, that our intention is really to keep everyone safe. I would also, go to say some of these disparities that have been really hard for us to have to wrap our heads around, it really just hits the nail on the head and shows some of the trouble with some of the systemic racism that we have to deal with as a society, and the lack of trust in both what the experts are saying and in the developers of vaccine. And it just kind of shows we need more people like myself in healthcare, being part of these research conversations, being some of the developers, because people are more likely to trust somebody who looks like them, talks like them, thinks like them a little bit more. And had people been able to say, hey, my aunt helped develop this, or my mom helped develop this vaccine, I definitely trust it, versus this is what some group that other than me, who I don't already trust, is telling me this, then here we are today. So that all being said, with politics aside, safety has been our number one priority. And while it is somebody's right to not get vaccinated, it is also our right to say, you know what, maybe we celebrate with you in a different way. And we've invited our wedding guests to do that, a personal phone call, writing a letter, a card, some other meaningful, very distanced ways we can celebrate with that individual. But I would not feel safe knowing that somebody at my wedding came and made other people very, very ill. And we have already lost some close family members to this disease, and we don't want to lose any more, especially not because of our event.
And have you guys seen any success in requiring that vaccine at your wedding? Have you seen friends, cousins, aunts, uncles say, oh, now I have to get vaccinated? Maybe I was hesitant before, maybe I was sitting on my heels waiting. Have you seen any success with getting family and friends vaccinated?
Yeah, it's definitely put a fire up under some of my family members to get vaccinated. I've also been surprised of how many were already vaccinated. So they were vaccinated before me. So it was I was definitely surprised about that. But yeah, it's definitely put a fire under some of us. And then we've also lost a few people who who weren't going to be able to come as well. which is fine. But I'm also glad that they, were able to, talk to me and have a one-on-one with me and explain as to why they did it. So, but yeah.
I imagine that would be a really tough conversation. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what you discussed and how you guys stood firm in making sure everybody is vaccinated?
Yeah. The conversation that we kind of had was, I was just, he just called me and just said, hey man, I really want to be there for the wedding and things of that nature, but I just don't feel comfortable, getting it at the moment. I also tried to explain facts as to why it's safe, and I'm getting it myself. So I'm not, I'm not going to make you do something that I'm not going to do. But at the same time, that person still didn't feel comfortable enough to get it, which is completely fine. And honestly, I definitely thank a lot of my family for at least being very honest with me and just letting me know that they are not, that they're not going to get vaccinated, or if they are going to get vaccinated.
Outside of your guests too, I bet all of the vendors at your wedding really appreciate this. Servers have been such a hard hit part of the community as well, as far as getting COVID. Not a lot of backup plan there. They got shut down and then they immediately had to come back through the highs and the lows of everything. What has the reaction been like with your vendors, with you guys requiring this?
Thank you. Most of them just have been saying, thank you. Oh my gosh, that makes me feel so much better. Thank you. You can do that? You can do that? I'm like, we can do that. And like we said, our conversations have really been about safety for everyone involved. And there have been some people who have not agreed with our method, but we've had more than enough people either rush to go get the vaccine. We also did our own due diligence to make sure it was available to everybody before we made that official requirement. And then our wedding invitations, we just added an insert and it worked out perfectly. It's now available to everybody on our guest list and everyone across the nation. So we made sure of that as well too, that we were asking for something that's fair.
That's good. So how are you guys doing that? Are you doing the honor system? Or are you like saying, hey, text me a picture of your card? How's that going to work out to make sure people are being truthful?
So right now we're still working out some of the details among that. Just as the CDC has recommended, travel-wise, we do have a lot of guests coming in from out of town. And in general, we are encouraging people to just have your vaccine card. It's never gonna hurt to have it. Do we have a bouncer at the door checking your vaccine cards, a scanning thing? Again, trying to work out all the details. We're hoping to hear more about this vaccine passport, if that's something that the CDC ends up rolling out. And then just, again, people have been tremendously honest with us, and those who are not uncomfortable have said nope, and then 99% has been like, yep, I'm already there. And a lot of times too, people who had reactions and stuff were close enough to know that they definitely got vaccinated when they posted on social media and said like, oh, I'm sick, I'm out for the count, kind of a thing. So we definitely have a pretty good idea of who has and who hasn't been. So
yeah, for sure. You guys may not have made this decision yet, but are you contemplating right now, what about masks? Are you still going to be requiring those? Like say the order gets lifted and you don't have to wear a mask. What's that conversation looking like right now?
Yeah, we're still working out the kinks on that. I believe, if, we can get everyone vaccinated, I think it would probably be the best idea for everyone to still, wear masks just in case. You can never be too safe. But, obviously if we're just with our wedding party or something like that, then maybe, we'll make it a little bit more lenient, but yeah.
Such a tough conversation.
Yeah. And I would, as of now, we are ordering masks for every guest to have one who might have forgotten one too. And we will definitely not mask shame anybody who wants to wear one as well. So as of right now, we're following CDC guidelines in that regard and hope to just want to keep everybody safe.
I guess I have one last question for you guys. So there are probably brides and grooms and couples out there, partners out there who are on the fence about perhaps requiring this for their wedding, and you might be inspiring them. You might give them the courage to do so and have this requirement at their wedding. What is your advice to them if they really want to do it, but maybe they are just a little bit nervous?
Yeah, I mean, my advice is just think about, the worst case scenario of what could happen and the best case scenario. The best case scenario is you have a vaccinated wedding, everyone's safe. The worst case scenario is you have a non-vaccinated wedding and, you have that uncertainty. And that's not something you really want to have on your heart, at least not me. So do you have anything else?
I would just say, better safe than sorry. Get ready for maybe a couple of tough conversations, but the majority of individuals will really be happy and thankful that you did this. It's a once in a lifetime day, and there's no reason to put anything out there to be unsafe, especially if you think about comfort. So you're the bride, you're the groom. What is your comfort level? And kind of asking yourselves that and say, this is what makes us comfortable. This is what makes me feel good about having this wedding. And this is where we're at with this. How can we celebrate in a different way for people who don't want to? And leaving it up to them.